Well, I've been on a little bit of a BTM kick. It's Boys to Men,
Oh,
actually,
yeah, true.
for the real boys heads out there. How do they call themselves something? It doesn't matter.
Look
That
it up.
didn't
What's
sound
their
very good, though. Let's not do that. Not
what's their fandom called?
the tours, the Boys to Men. I don't know. Anyway, I've been on that kick lately.
Yeah.
And so my favorite thing is the breakdown, right? The low baritone, hey girl kind of like thing.
Uh-huh.
And so what I've done for you today, and I know you'll appreciate it, is that I've written you a nice, sexy baritone kind of song breakdown.
Okay.
And I would like to perform it for you here right now.
I'm so excited. This started with a road trip to a family reunion.
It did.
And we had a little Boys to Men.
It was Boys to Men all the
carpool
way
karaoke
through
for a
Texas.
while. Yeah.
And so, so let me go ahead.
I feel like it gets stuck in your head all week, and then
I've been doing it. I've been monologuing to myself all week. Hey, girl.
There you go.
How you doing?
I'm excited.
Okay, so let me perform this for you.
I'm ready.
Here it comes. Let me start the music.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Girl, when we met, I knew we were gonna be something special. Something hot, like a ham sandwich, where the sweet bun so softly caress the meat within. But you can keep the cheese, because it's all mayo for me, girl. Oh yeah, the way we look at each other, like a ham sandwich, with perfectly diagonal cut side eyes as you walk in the door of my sultry Subway sandwich. That's right, I'm clocked in, ready to work overtime. And you come in looking like honey-baked ham on whole wheat, toasted with some light pepperoncinis. That's right, I am an artist, a sandwich artist ready to spread a light sheen of ranch dressing all over the inside of your buns. And that's when you asked me if I wanted it footlong. Well, baby, I whispered, it already is. You know, you my extra pickles, my double meat, my sweet onion vinaigrette, dripping slow. You my fountain drink refill, bottomless, endless, and always fresh. And girl, when I see you, I don't just want to toast this bread. I want to toast our forever.
Beachless.
What do you think? Pretty good? So I'm wondering, I wrote that and I'm wondering if it should be, in the book maybe, because he's going to be a chef. I wanted to use a little of that inspiration. What do you think? And then when we do the audiobook, maybe they'll let me do it. You don't want to be my ham sandwich?
Are we writing
My ham
for Subway
sandwich.
commercials?
Girl. Baby. Girl. You know what I mean? What do you think?
Some of those metaphors were a little inappropriate.
Mm-hmm. Like the pepperoni stuff, I know.
No.
The light pepperoni is pretty, it's on the edge.
It's not,
It's a little testy there, So, yeah.
Can we even air this?
I don't know. But, yeah. Okay, well, I just need some feedback from the audience out
If
there.
you're hearing this, I'm shocked it made the cut. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, girl. What, you didn't like the part about being a sandwich artist? He's really into ham sandwiches, this character I've developed.
I can see that. I don't even like ham. And I feel like you know that. And so I was like, was this supposed to be for me? Or like, who are you writing this for? Is it really a love letter to a ham sandwich?
This might have to be the end of the podcast.
I mean,
if you're not digging the ham sandwich, then I might be out. That's all I'm saying.
So many other good.
That's all I'm saying, girl. You know what I'm saying, girl?
I love the deep voice. I love the music.
Okay, good.
This makes me think.
I may have just a very specific career in baritone breakdowns in R&B songs in the 90s. You think I could get paid for this? Maybe. Anyway, we did start listening to Boys to Men on our way to our family reunion this last weekend,
Just-
where we saw some folks we haven't seen in, 10, 12 years? That was
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I think
It was fun, though.
Ollie was a baby last time we went, and Jackson was like 4 or 5,
Yeah,
maybe.
it was fun.
Yeah, so it was so fun to see everyone and catch up, and I learned a lot about like my family history. This was on my
Mhm.
mom's side, so my granny, I called her. Very special to me, big part of raising me, and it was just really cool to hear about tracing the family lineage back through the generations. And
Yeah.
so in some ways, like, we found out through one part of the family, we're just as Texan can
Yeah,
be.
it's true.
Like, my family's been in Texas since before Texas was Texas. And
Kinda
then
crazy.
had other heritage that went back through Minnesota, where we had a relative that used to take,
Mhm.
took Teddy Roosevelt on hunts, like on
And you're going to
reservations.
Minnesota, aren't you?
I am going to be going to
Oh my
Minnesota, but
goodness.
for a book event. Yeah, they took Teddy Roosevelt on hunts, and that Chief Sitting Bull gave this family member a doll that is now in a museum
Oh, yeah,
in
the
San
museum doll.
Antonio. That was super cool. And then even further back, we had relatives that were in Massachusetts and Salem in the 1600s during, the
So you're descended
Puritans.
from a line of witches?
Maybe.
Let me write that down. That's a check mark. Okay, that's
I mean, if we're talking deal breakers today, did you hear your sub sandwich serenade? Uh-huh. Ollie's been learning about it at school. They're reading the Crucible right now, so they're learning a lot about that time period and, what contributed to that culture and civilization, and so, or, the Puritans. And so it was really interesting, but it was just fun to see old pictures and
Yeah.
a lot of photos I'd never seen. And we had relatives that brought like documents and things that,
A lot of slideshow.
yeah, learning about family members.
Actual
and stuff,
slideshow.
yeah, actual slide projector.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ollie got to run
It's
a
true.
slide projector, so that was super cool.
That did make
Yeah.
me think about, though, like our book, of course.
Yeah.
And what does, the effect of family play on you, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's about, I mean, it's no surprise, is it, are you born with it, or maybe it's Maybelline? Like, is it
Yeah.
innate?
Yeah.
Are some of these things innate, your views and your passions? But like, I think building us specifically for Indy, building her a little bit of a network, a web of people that
Yeah.
she talks to currently, but also like thinking through a little bit of her backstory should give a lot of color to
Yeah,
what
for
her
sure.
actual story
And
is.
I think it helped me a lot because I was really close with my granny growing up. She passed when I
Yeah.
was 23. And so it helped also just make her make more sense when I learned about some of the things that her family went through, or even her, parents, grandparents, things like that, and during the Great Depression, and how that affected family members and, vices and things that they turned to, and then how that affected some of the children. And so, I think it just made her make more sense to me. She was a very outspoken woman, very strong woman, and very like modern in a lot of ways. In the 50s, she was married and had 5 kids over the course of, almost 10 years. But she was working full time as a secretary and, such an involved parent, being up at the school and involved in PTA and church and things like that. But such a strong woman and so clear about what she wanted, like in her relationship and in teaching her kids. And so being with her family and learning more about her upbringing and her parents and grandparents and things, it made her make more sense of why she would feel the way she did, or why, just growing up like with me and my like mom and her sisters and things was always, don't settle. Like with men, don't settle, don't take anything, like know your worth, know what you deserve. If they're abusive, get out. Don't get in a car with a man who's been drinking, and like going and hearing these stories just made her make a lot more sense to me. And so it made me think about our characters and how they are the way they are because of their backstories, their histories, and then like their family history, generational traumas.
Well, I
and
think
things.
also because of our history, because, we're very close to Granny. We lived with Granny for a while, like knew Granny very, very well. And she was a great, strong person, like you said. And I feel like that's going to come through in the book.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Her energy and vibe. So.
Yeah. Well, and she was the one who told us, like, take the trips, make the memories.
Yeah.
Her and my granddad always put off all their like fun and travel and things for retirement. And then he passed away unexpectedly 6 months into retirement. And so for us, when we were young, she just said, you will always have a bill to pay and you'll pay it, but go do the things, make the memories. You're not promised time.
True.
And so that has always been something really important to us. And so again, just getting to know her family better made that make more sense to me too. So it was really fun. It was a great trip.
Made me miss Granny.
I know, seeing all the pictures of her and stuff, especially when she was our age and had young kids. And
For sure.
Kind of crazy just seeing her in different lights as we get older too. But
and she definitely heard our theme
she
at the
did.
wedding.
She was at our wedding.
She was at the wedding.
Heard the theme, so let's play
Let's
that
hit the
now.
theme real quick.
Okay. Welcome to our next chapter.
Our next
podcast.
chapter.
The podcast.
The podcast.
Yes.
The movie. The game.
The game.
The show.
I'm Andrea.
And I'll be Matt for today.
Good. We are a married couple, been together since high school, over 25 years now. Married for over 20. And our boys, who are 13 and 17, being that they're almost grown, we found ourselves with more time on our hands, time together, and just started to think about how we wanted to spend that time. And we decided we enjoyed reading romance novels together. And so we decided to write one together. And this podcast is documenting that process. So thank you for joining us.
We're here. We did it. We've got another. Go ahead.
I'm just noticing something.
Okay. Is it me? Is it? I've been working out a little bit.
Yeah. You seem to have added a decoration to our
It's these glasses.
background.
Okay.
It's not the glasses.
It's the glasses.
Why are there shoes on my wall?
These shoes?
Yes.
Oh, I got new shoes. They're more of an art piece. So there's a thing called Mischief, and they're a lot like a Supreme or somebody like that. And they had a big sale on some of their products, and one of them are these Wave.2 shoes or Wave 2 shoes or something like that. And so I got them on mega sale, but they're awesome. Look how cool they are. And they fit our little background perfectly.
Do they?
Yeah.
That's what I was just wondering, what is the connection to rom-com novels?
Because you have to take a wavy path sometimes to find love.
Curvy path
A
and
curvy
still
path.
a path. Yeah.
See, I'm trying to take over the background. So far, I've got shoes and Dungeon Crawler Carl in here. The rest is fair enough.
Tune in next week to see if those shoes are still there.
We'll see. Could be more shoes.
But I am noticing while we were looking at the shoes, we let Oliver pick out the album for this week. That's Tyler, the creator, Chromacopia.
It's true.
Oh, and y'all went to the concert.
We did do the
talked about that
concert.
on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Today on the show, we're going to have a couple segments for you guys. We've got Author of the Week, which is Author Spotlight, which is Author the Spotlight Week.
Whatever you want to call it.
Week of the Author, Spotlight Author Week.
I've given up on trying
We're going
to
to be doing that again.
Yeah, we're going to talk about an author.
And then we're going to talk about our book. We've been writing and we've got some stuff to talk about, some updates and some changes and things like that, things I want to run by you to see how it's going. And then we'll close the show by interviewing Stella for about an hour and a half. It'll be an in-depth interview.
Stick around.
With Stella.
Stella the dog.
Stella the dog. She's going to give us at least an hour's worth of content. It's going to be an extended
episode. She loves
episode.
being on camera.
She hates being on camera. That's really what it is. But, okay, hit us with the Author Spotlight of the Week.
Well, you've already serenaded me, so what's continue the Boys to Men theme for Kirsty?
Oh, yeah. I legit forgot the theme this week.
Time.
Okay.
You guys think it's a bit. It's not a bit.
Author of the Week, back again. Kirsty Greenwood, you're the author. I don't know. I lost it. Is that close? Did you get what I was going for?
Yes.
Motown Philly, back again.
It's just got Boys to Men on the brain,
It's true. So you tell me about Kirsty.
Excited to spotlight Kirsty Greenwood this week. So she's a new-to-me author. I just finished reading her book, The Love of My Afterlife. Cannot recommend it highly enough. It is so cute, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it later. But she's actually a British author. She lives in the UK with her husband in London. She was raised in like a smaller town in the northern part of the UK. And she was a book editor, and she's been writing, I guess since like 2013, I think is when her first book came out. She started with self-publishing, but this recent book, The Love of My Afterlife, was her first with a traditional publisher. And so it was a Good Morning America book club pick. But she was named one of the booksellers Rising Stars in 2016. She started, with the self-publishing and really established herself as someone who wrote rom-coms that were bold, comedic, and heartfelt, like with her approach to romance. And so,
yeah. Now, you told me about this book, so I'm like,
I talked about it, and I even read a little bit of the beginning of it. But one thing I really love about her too, she's very, when you watch interviews with her or read interviews, she's very genuine and very open and honest. She's talked about being diagnosed as an adult with ADHD, and talked about how she uses that as a writer, that, you know, sometimes she struggles with procrastination or motivation. And so she uses body doubling. And so she has a friend that's also an author, and they would get on Zoom calls, and they would basically have these like 20-minute writing bursts where they would write. And then at the end of the, like sprints. Yeah. And at the end of the third session, they would have a little dance party. And that was how she said basically this whole book got written. And so, you know, ADHD runs in our family. And so
just a little bit.
It's just fun to hear somebody who is, you know, so successful and has, you know, several amazing books. And now after reading this one, I definitely want to read more. She's got another one coming out next year. But just hearing her talk so openly about that, about how, yeah, it's kind of a struggle, but here's what I did to address it and to still be productive and you know, write what I want to write. So I thought that was really awesome. But she's, as I said, she started publishing in 2013 with a book called Yours Truly. In 2015, she wrote one called The Vintage Guide to Love and Romance, and it was about like a modern woman attempting to follow outdated dating advice, which I thought sounds fun. So I may go back and read that one. There was Big Sexy Love in 2017, where Olive goes to New York City. She's on a quest to track down her best friend who's like dying, I guess, is trying to track down her first love. And so she has to kind of like discover her sense of self. But this one...
Does it seem like all of her books have like a little bit of a high concept to them? Like a little bit more
very
like...
much. Yeah. I mean, she tackles tough themes and like real like human growth. And
but like sometimes through a fantasy lens though too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, this one is so fun. So this is Delphi, and I'm not spoiling anything. It's on the first page. Delphi is the main character. She's not your typical female lead of a rom-com. She's a very reclusive introvert who just prefers to be in her apartment with her weighted blanket and her book, which Kirsty has said is very much inspired by her. And when she moved to London and was really intimidated about getting out and trying to make new friends as an adult, her therapist told her, like, we've got to break this cycle. You've got to get out of your little cocoon. And so Delphi was kind of inspired by that. But on the first page of the book, she chokes on a like Impossible Burger, whatever the like plant-based burgers are, and dies. And so she wakes up in the afterlife and meets this girl who has been assigned to be her afterlife therapist. And she's hilarious, and she is a lover of rom-coms herself. And so while she's kind of, you know, like putting her through orientation about the afterlife, and Delphi's just in disbelief because she is now feeling like, I just didn't accomplish enough. I didn't do enough. And in shock that she's dead, this guy pops in who's just, you know, gorgeous, and she finds a quick connection with him and then thinks maybe this was my soulmate.
He's drop dead gorgeous? Is that what you would say?
He's drop dead gorgeous, okay. Yes. And so she just kind of quickly has a connection with him. And then the therapist, Merritt, realizes he's not supposed to be there. It was a glitch in the system, and so she poofs him back to Earth. She says, oh, he was just unconscious. He wasn't supposed to come here. But then Delphi is all upset, like, that I think that's my soulmate. I need to go after her. So she makes a deal with Merritt. Delphi makes a deal with Merritt to go back to Earth for 10 days to try to find this guy and convince him to kiss her on his own, kind of Little Mermaid-ish, I guess. Yes. But he's not going to have any memory of the meeting in the afterlife. And so she has to go back on a quest. But there's just such deeper themes of Delphi going back to this life that she knew, and now she's on this time crunch. She has these 10 days and trying to make friendships of her own and having to, you know, convince people to help her along the way.
Trying to live a lifetime worth of life in 10 days.
In 10
basically.
days, yeah. And it's so good. And I just, when I was reading it, I really loved, there's such a, you can tell that Kirsty herself loves rom-coms and really just respects the genre. And so there's so many like little nods. Like, yeah, I just felt like it was a love letter to rom-coms and people who like romantic romantic comedies, movies, and books. And there's a lot of like 90s pop culture references and a lot of just kind of like meta jokes about rom-coms in general. And
That's
so,
fun.
yeah, and references to other big
You read me the
name
first
romance
chapter.
authors. Yeah.
We should probably finish it.
It's so
fun.
cute. I also really love the audio version. I listened to the audio version. And so, having a British narrator was really cool and just kind of even more puts you in the setting because it takes place in London. So highly, highly recommend that. She's also a huge musical theater fan. So
Ooh,
again,
okay.
another author I think we would be besties with. And she's writing her own musical right now. A romantic comedy musical.
That's
so
fun.
She's in workshops and things like that. And then she has another book coming out in 2026. So that's awesome. But I did want to read. I was looking at her Instagram when she was talking about this book coming out. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what she wrote, about why she wrote it. So it says, "The love of my afterlife was born out of my desire to write something completely unabashed, something magical, weird, funny, and in total celebration of the romantic comedy genre. Something that I and others would be desperate to read in a bid to escape the tricky parts of life for a little while. That desire coincided with me moving a house from a tiny village in the north of England to central London. After a period of sickness before the move, I felt like I was starting life over again. I never expected to make many new friends as an adult in a city of millions, but somehow I did. It turned out that all kinds of characters around my neighborhoods of Paddington and Notting Hill were looking for people to witness their lives, to go on a walk with, to say a passing hello in the street." And so I like that. There's this theme again of like witnessing someone's life,
love that, witnessing someone's life.
which was a big theme in Abby Jimenez's last book, Say You'll Remember Me. And so this idea, we keep talking about it, is like the idea of having a close friendship or a romantic relationship of somebody who witnesses your life with you and who kind of goes alongside with you. So I really like that she said that. She said it explores themes of loneliness, grief, women self-actualizing, and having the courage to step out of the confines we never intended to construct around ourselves. And so at the core, it's a classic romantic comedy, but, I'm a sucker for women who save themselves and, women on their own path of self-discovery. And so I really, really love that. And I also wanted to put in, there was it was a Good Morning America book club pick. There was a great interview that they did. And so I wanted to splice in just a little bit of that interview here if we could.
Yeah.
As you know, we partner with Little Free Library to get the copies of our GMA Book Club picks to readers all across the U.S. And this morning, one of our stewards, Justin Farley, has a question for you. So listen.
Okay, great.
As a middle school teacher, I was wondering what advice you would give aspiring readers and writers at the middle school level. And also, as a middle schooler yourself, what was your favorite book or books?
Okay, so I would say to middle school writers, don't fret or worry too much about whether your spelling or your punctuation is perfect, because when you're writing fiction, what's most important is how big your imagination is. The magical thing about writing is that you can make up anything you want, and no one gets to tell you that you can't until you get a publishing deal and an editor who will tell you what you can do. But, these guys are young, they've got time. So I would say just think as far-reaching as you can, invent anything you want, and treat it as playtime. And just have fun, I guess.
And playtime, because you don't necessarily have to have all of it figured out. You wrote this book with just sort of rough ideas, and you discovered it as you just wrote. You didn't know what was happening.
I did not know. I wanted to write, and I like to write as if I'm a reader. So I like to get my character into a real pickle and then be like, how on earth am I going to get her out of this? I find that really fun, and I hope that has transferred into the reading experience, that it is full of surprises. Because I was certainly surprised by some of the things that happened.
Well, you are such a pleasure. Kirsty Greenwood, thank you.
So I loved her advice to middle school, it was a middle school teacher, asking the question. And so I really liked her advice of also just about get it on the page. Don't worry about your punctuation, your spelling. That's something I feel like
that.
we keep running into. You sent me not a meme, but just something on Instagram the other day where it was like a hand-drawn circle and it said, first make it exist. And then it was a perfect circle and it said, then make it perfect. And so she was kind of the same in articles that I read of hers, like, if you had advice for authors, what would it be? And she's just like, she prefers rewriting to drafting. She likes to go back and make the edits and things like that. And so that she just says, like, just finish that first draft as soon as possible. Fight the resistance and that weaselly little voice telling you that you and everything you write is absolute trash. Just get it done. Sketch it out. Get that sand in the box so you can build a sandcastle later. And she's like, yeah, it's probably going to be terrible, but just have something to react to. Just get it out of your head and on the page. And so she's like, you have a shape, you have an intention. You don't know exactly what you're going to do. And so she also kind of talks that she's a bit of a pantser. She really likes to, and in the interview we showed is like, she likes to put people in a pickle and then write the way out. And she doesn't know, when, like, she doesn't know the way out when she makes the scenario.
That's fun.
So it's kind of a puzzle and a challenge for herself. And so I really, really connected with that. But she has a Facebook group community she runs called Literary Darlings, if you want to go follow her on there. She's on Instagram at Kirsty_Greenwood, and she's at KirstyGreenwood.com. So go check her out. This book is so cute. I might just keep reading it to you because I would love to read it again too. And it's adorable. So
I do want to read more of it.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's well written and fun,
I like it when it's
quirky.
intentionally quirky and not taking itself so seriously.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, everything you're saying is resonating with me with getting things on the page, because
that's where we're at.
That's where we're at. Yeah. And in the first couple chapters, there's just so much to develop, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much advice around what to develop and what's important. And then we had this whole history of the podcast and things we've discussed that also kind of need to be woven in there.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of stuck in this loop where I've written the first chapter like 3 times, I think. And there are so many things where what's really interesting, the things that I'm finding is that what's really interesting is that I feel like I'm trying to stuff too much information in the first chapter.
Cram it all in.
I feel like I'm cramming, which just hurts the pace, is one thing. And then secondarily, with this cramming and showing all these new characters or introducing our audience to characters, I'm realizing that our main character, Indy, kind of gets put in the back seat because she's finding her way through. And so
it's like how to bring her forward.
And I love the idea of like, just get it on the page.
Yeah.
Just get it out there, because it's something that I think I'm going to continue to shape forever. And I think it's about finding a good way to leave myself notes, maybe, and leave you notes as you come back.
Yeah,
through and help
that's
me
the thing,
fix
is
it.
coming back behind for the rewrites. And I think, like you said, having those things side by side of what we've already discussed and what we want to include, while leaving space for, like Kirsty said, get your characters into the pickle and then figure the way out. Is like, that's
and we've heard that from a lot of the authors, both we've talked about here and the ones we've seen in interviews. It's like, I can plot out things, but the characters are going to really tell me like how it comes together and what they need. Which brings me to something I wanted to talk to you about, is that I started to realize pretty quickly that Indy's going to need a friend, kind of like a friend that's not her sister, because the way the sister's coming together right now, she's very magical in a way. Like, she's just very...
Well, she's also part of Indy's job. Like,
she's
she
part
manages
of Indy's job,
her, and I'm sure she sees
close.
her as the little kid's sister too, as someone to be managed, not
Exactly.
necessarily equal.
And she's just, it feels like she's busy. She's the pop star, kind of like, she's not a pop star, but she's a child star.
Like, Indy doesn't want to bother her with her things. Yeah.
And so I do have a character that's popped up, and you know what I named her?
How many characters named Stella can there be?
Just this one. I don't think Grandma Stella anymore. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. That should be an Estelle maybe, but that's a different thing.
Yeah, okay.
But right now I've got this character. Basically, the book is opening with the show about to start, right? And so she's
Zoe, like sister's show.
Zoe, the sister show, like she's about to start, and so we see.
We've
Indy
said she's
kinda
like a Miss Rachel type character that does, but it's more like puppets and stuff,
puppets,
like children's entertainment.
Yeah, children's entertainment. Yo Gabba Gabba meets Disney on Ice meets Pick Your Mr. Rogers kind of show, right?
Yeah.
But she's kind of moving and putting stuff together because she's running the show, and her friend Stella kind of comes up to her and says a couple things, and this may be a super simplification. It may change.
Yeah.
But I think Stella's going to be really accident prone. And it's going to be like, she just like steps into a mop bucket and flips over. But the thing is, everybody knows this about her. And so
like, Stella. Yeah.
Like, and she has this catchphrase of like, I'm good or something.
Yeah.
And so nobody bats an eye when she falls comically into this thing. Or
Everybody
that
knows
happens.
she's
Everybody's
always
like,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm headed with
Okay.
that side of things.
I like it.
The other thing, and this is something I want to talk to you about because we had been talking about this, is building Indy out. And what does she do when she's not managing the show? What does she do when she's not living for her sister? What does she do for herself?
Yeah.
What kind of hobbies? Like, what is a hobby she could have?
Well, and I would think, like I've said before, I identify a lot with her. And I would think that if she is having to be on all the time in her job, then she's going to want to be off in her personal time. So I would think that she's going to be a little introverted, if not just using that as a space to decompress. And like, I wouldn't see her doing something where she's got to go be in conversation with people or, be in a public where
she's in charge
publicly.
of something, or she has to really work.
Yeah.
So the thing I've been kicking around is her being more of like a book girly kind of thing, which we're seeing in a lot of the books that we're talking about, like within the genre, referencing the genre in a way.
Such a love for it.
And I think there's a way for us to kind of make it a little bit of a love letter too to the books we're reading and the authors we love.
I love when I read books where I can tell that the author is a fan of the genre.
Right.
Because it feels like you're in on a little secret. We talked about that when we read Annabelle Monaghan's book. When we read It's a Love Story, but also with Nora Goes Off Script.
Yes.
I felt like for you, it was such a nod to writers. She's a writing, or she was a writing teacher. And so I just kept saying, I feel like there's so much coded language here to you as a writer, and you were picking up on. And so I love that when I'm reading a romance novel that I can tell that the author's a fan and they've read a lot of these same books by these other authors that I love, and I get those little coded hints and things. Yeah.
And I think that's going to be another major theme is, you don't, love comes at you whether you're ready for it or not sometimes. And, you have to sometimes realize it's happening. You can't, be woe is me. And then all of a sudden love passes you by. And I think there's going to be a little bit of that give and take in there. I don't think it's going to be a huge theme in the book, but
and I think if she really loves those books, then I think she would also really understand the importance of self-love.
Yes.
And
definitely.
I feel like she's got to go on a journey of that and really learning to love herself and get to know herself and 100%. Kind of this idea of self-partnering. I think that's going to be really important for her.
The fact that she's worthy of having her own life outside of her sister.
Yeah.
I think is going to be a big piece.
That's that's going to be a revelation to her. Like, oh yeah, I guess I have made my whole life about my sister.
I need to start to live my own thing.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm excited.
Stella
Stella
the best.
found a way back in.
Stella the best.
We need more Stella.
Now, if it ends up that Indy and Stella end up spending their life together, then we'll know Matt really did write the whole thing because, I'm always wondering if you and Stella are going to... see, that's what I mean. Like, I'm unnecessary. It's just...
Where is she?
Their love is so deep.
That's Pet Stella.
Uh-huh. She's probably napping. It's prime nap time for her.
Before we close out, I do want to take you to a zone.
Oh, goodness.
A grievance zone, Andrea.
What are you grieving? Oh, I have
a sign.
A sign?
No.
Right? No.
It's upside down. I have a grievance zone sign. Grievance.
Grievance -E, like
grieving.
Bell -A from Love Island.
I have a little bit of a grievance.
Why are we entering the grievance zone?
You're just too attractive. You're making me look bad on the podcast.
What does that even mean?
You're just too sexy.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very nice.
And so I had to bring you to the grievance zone to let you know.
What am I supposed to do about it?
I don't know.
I feel like that.
I need you to work on it, though.
I feel like there's a compliment in there somewhere, but
I feel like I'm being overshone, shined over, been overshined. You're outshining me, is what I'm saying, and it makes me nervous.
Nervous?
Yeah.
For what?
I just don't want any boys to swoop in and find you.
Not looking for any boys.
Okay. Fine.
No.
Okay.
No, but therapy might be a good idea.
Therapy's always a good idea for me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
But thank you.
You're welcome.
Or you could just say, like, you look really beautiful.
Yeah, but I got to make it about me. You know what I'm saying? At least I know I make it.
There's always room to grow.
So we can get out of the grievance zone.
Do
you want to see the sign again?
The upside down sign? Yeah.
Yeah. That's about it. That's all we got today.
Thank you. Check
read the
out
book.
The Love of My
Oh, gosh,
Afterlife by
it's fun.
Kirsty Greenwood. It's fantastic.
Mhm.
Check out us on Instagram at Our Next Chapter Podcast or TikTok under the same, or Facebook. Email us at ournextchapterpod@gmail.com. Our website, ournextchapterpodcast.com. That's it. Nope, we don't need the full written out version.
If you want to go to our website,
If you go there, there's a spot to sign up for our newsletter, and you'll get your name in the back of our book when we publish it as one of our OG fans and followers. He loves to spell out the
//
URL for some reason.
www.
I don't know why anyone would need this.
Our Next Chapter.
I'm going to go. I'm going to let Stella call in for this part.
Oh,
so
poor
you
Stella.
can tell her URLs and
Okay.
see. if
Stella
she
would
likes
listen to me. So
it. Do you have any grievances for her?
never. Why would I have grievances for Stella?
Just me?
Thank you, everybody, for stopping by today. Go see us on social media, and we'll see you next time. I love you.
I love you.
All right, let's go get Stella. Can we get Stella on the podcast for just a minute?
She
I'll
would
hold her up,
hate it.
and she'll be pissed.
Stella.